Amaka and Chijioke have been dating for 3 years. Their relationship is filled with laughter, deep conversations, and moments that feel like pure magic. One evening, they find themselves at one of their favorite spots in the city, a quiet rooftop terrace overlooking the bustling streets below, where they often go to escape the city's noise. As they enjoy the view, Amaka suddenly kneels down in front of Chijioke. She holds out a small, simple ring she bought herself, looking up at him with a hopeful smile. "Will you marry me, Chijioke?" she asks softly. Chijioke's eyes widen, taken aback. This is unexpected. He never thought Amaka would be the one to propose, and right now, he's not sure what to say. He stares at her, searching for the right words, but his mind is blank. Silence stretches between them, and the weight of his hesitation falls like a heavy cloud. Chijioke stands, frozen. Deep down, he cares for Amaka, but marriage? He's not ready. The thought of settling down brings a mixture of fear and doubt. He's focused on his career, hoping for a promotion and dreaming of building his own business one day. He thinks marriage might complicate things, and he's not prepared to take that step just yet. Amaka's hopeful expression fades as she sees the hesitation in his eyes. Her heart sinks. She realizes that maybe she read their relationship wrong. She tries to hold back her tears, but the disappointment is clear on her face. Chijioke fumbles, trying to explain, but every word he says only seems to hurt her more. Eventually, she stands, forcing a smile, and says, "It's okay. I understand." But her voice trembles, betraying her true feelings. As they leave the rooftop, both of them feel the distance between them growing. Amaka is crushed. She had been so sure that Chijioke was the one. The rejection leaves her feeling humiliated and brokenhearted. Her friends try to comfort her, saying that maybe he just needs time. But Amaka is tired of waiting. She gave her heart to Chijioke, and he left it hanging. In the days that follow, she immerses herself in her work, trying to distract herself. Her heart aches, but she's determined to move on, even if it means leaving Chijioke behind. She begins to question if he ever truly loved her or if he just enjoyed the convenience of their relationship. Chijioke, meanwhile, brushes off the guilt, convincing himself that he did the right thing. But every time he sees a photo of her on social media or passes by places they used to visit, he feels a pang of regret. He tries to ignore it, but deep down, he knows he's lost something valuable. Amaka decides it's time to make a change. She applies for a promotion at her firm and, after a rigorous interview process, lands a new position with a higher salary and more responsibilities. She throws herself into her work, determined to build a successful career. She attends networking events, builds connections, and starts making a name for herself in the business world. Her new lifestyle also means meeting new people. At one event, she meets Ikenna, a successful entrepreneur with a calm confidence and a warm smile. They strike up a conversation, and Amaka is surprised by how easily she can talk to him. She's cautious, still hurting from her breakup with Chijioke, but there's something about Ikenna that makes her feel at ease. Ikenna is charming, attentive, and deeply respectful of Amaka's ambitions. He's impressed by her passion for her work and her drive to succeed. Unlike Chijioke, he seems genuinely interested in her goals and supports her every step of the way. They start seeing each other more often, and Amaka feels a warmth she hasn't felt in a long time. As the days go by, Amaka begins to let her guard down. She and Ikenna share many of the same interests and values, and he always seems to know exactly how to make her smile. Little by little, her heart begins to heal, and she starts to envision a future with him even though memories of Chijioke still linger. Several months have passed since Chijioke rejected Amaka's proposal, and for the first time, he begins to feel the emptiness of her absence. He misses her laughter, her advice, and the comfort of knowing she was always there for him. He realizes he took her love for granted, and the regret begins to gnaw at him. Chijioke tries to distract himself with work, late-night outings. Amaka and Ikena's relationship grows stronger with each passing day. Ikena treats Amaka with a kind of respect and admiration she never felt from Chijioke. He shows up for her, encourages her career, and they begin to share dreams for the future. Ikena takes her on thoughtful dates and introduces her to his family and friends, who embrace her warmly. For the first time, Amaka feels valued and cherished in ways she never thought possible. But sometimes, she's haunted by memories of Chijioke, wondering if he's changed or if he ever thinks of her. Despite these lingering thoughts, she feels happy with Ikena and tells herself it's time to let go of the past. Chijioke, on the other hand, is finding it impossible to forget Amaka. He dates other women, hoping to fill the void she left, but none of them can match the bond they shared. He misses the late-night conversations and the way Amaka understood him like no one else did. During one date, his thoughts drift to Amaka, and he can barely focus. He realizes that no matter how hard he tries, he can't move on. The regret has taken root, and he begins to feel the weight of the mistake he made. His friends notice the change in him, and he starts losing interest in his usual activities. Late at night, he wonders if he should have just accepted her proposal. One evening, after a beautiful dinner, Ikena takes Amaka to a serene park, where the city lights shimmer in the distance. As they sit on a bench, he pulls out a small velvet box, and Amaka's heart skips a beat. Ikena opens the box, revealing a stunning engagement ring. "Amaka, will you marry me?" he asks, looking deeply into her eyes. Overwhelmed with joy, Amaka nods and says, "Yes." She feels a sense of peace, finally ready to start a new chapter of her life with a man who truly values her. As they embrace, Amaka reflects on how far she's come, realizing she's found a love that heals rather than hurts. Chijioke hears the news of Amaka's engagement through a mutual friend, and the realization hits him like a ton of bricks. The regret he had been pushing aside now feels unbearable. He imagines Amaka with Ikena, and jealousy burns within him. In a fit of impulse, he scrolls through her social media, looking at photos of her and Ikena. Each picture only makes him feel worse. The love and happiness in her eyes confirm that she's moved on, and he's left with nothing but regret. Chijioke wonders if he missed his only chance to be with someone truly special. As Amaka and Ikena begin planning their wedding, Amaka throws herself into the process with excitement and nervous energy. They discuss guest lists, venues, and traditions, and Ikena's family helps with many of the details. Meanwhile, Chijioke begins losing sleep, haunted by the thought that Amaka is slipping away for good. In an attempt to process his emotions, Chijioke confides in a close friend, who tells him to move on and let Amaka be happy. But Chijioke can't shake the feeling that he has to do something. His friend warns him against causing any drama, but Chijioke is determined to at least talk to Amaka before she gets married. The day of the wedding arrives, and it's a grand celebration. Amaka looks radiant in her wedding attire, glowing with happiness as she walks down the aisle. Family and friends gather, celebrating the union with joy and laughter. Unbeknownst to her, Chijioke sneaks into the back of the church, hiding in the shadows as he watches the ceremony unfold. Seeing Amaka walk toward Ikena, a wave of emotion floods over him. He realizes just how much he's lost, and for the first time, he feels the depth of his mistake. As Amaka and Ikena exchange vows, Chijioke slips out of the church, feeling a deep sense of emptiness. Amaka and Ikena leave for a romantic honeymoon in an exotic location, where they enjoy peaceful moments together, celebrating their new life as husband and wife. They explore new places, savor delicious meals, and spend quiet evenings discussing their dreams and future. Amaka feels a happiness she's never known, secure in the love they share. Back in the city, Chijioke struggles to return to his normal routine. He tries to immerse himself in work, but he's haunted by thoughts of Amaka. His friends notice he's not himself, and he begins to isolate, lost in regret. He realizes he's made a mistake he can't undo. Chijioke becomes increasingly desperate to reach out to Amaka. He tries sending her messages, attempting to revive old memories, but Amaka responds politely and briefly, making it clear she has moved on. Each cold response only deepens his regret, making him want to see her even more. He begins to dwell on the what-ifs and could-haves, replaying moments from their past. His mind spirals, wondering if there's any way to win her back. But each message he sends only reminds him that Amaka is no longer his to love. One evening, at a charity event, Chijioke and Amaka cross paths unexpectedly. Amaka is there with Ikena, and when she sees Chijioke, there's a brief moment of tension. Chijioke's eyes reveal a sadness and regret she's never seen before. He pulls her aside and tries to talk to her, reminiscing about the good times they shared. Amaka listens patiently, but when he hints at wanting a second chance, she firmly tells him that she's happy with Ikena and has moved on. Although she feels sympathy for him, her loyalty is now to her husband. She walks away, leaving Chijioke to confront the reality of her rejection once again. After the chance encounter, rumors begin to circulate among their mutual friends. People start whispering about Chijioke's continued interest in Amaka, questioning if he's truly let go. Friends and colleagues begin to notice Chijioke's subtle attempts to reconnect with Amaka, even though she's clearly happy with Ikena. The rumors eventually reach Ikena, who becomes increasingly wary of Chijioke's intentions. He tries not to let it bother him, trusting Amaka completely, but a seed of doubt has been planted. Meanwhile, Chijioke becomes more obsessed with thoughts of Amaka, ignoring the whispers around him. He convinces himself that he has to do something drastic before it's too late. Ikena decides to confront Chijioke directly. He invites Chijioke to a quiet cafe in the city, where he speaks calmly but firmly, making it clear that Amaka is now his wife and that they are happy together. He warns Chijioke not to interfere in their lives, subtly implying that his actions have not gone unnoticed. Chijioke feels humiliated and angry but tries to mask his emotions. He tells Ikena that he only wants the best for Amaka, yet his jealousy is evident. The confrontation stings, and Chijioke realizes just how serious Ikena is about protecting his marriage. But instead of backing down, he begins to devise a plan to win Amaka back, believing that they're meant to be together. Desperate and fueled by regret, Chijioke makes a bold decision. He goes to Amaka's office, hoping to see her in person. When he finds her alone, he pours out his heart, confessing his love and all the regrets that have haunted him since the breakup. He apologizes for rejecting her proposal, saying he's realized too late that she's the love of his life. Amaka listens, but her expression remains calm. She tells him that while she's sorry he feels this way, she is happy with Ikena and committed to her marriage. Chijioke is shattered by her response, but he refuses to give up hope. He leaves the office, still holding on to the belief that he can somehow win her back. After Chijioke's emotional confession, Amaka finds herself reflecting on their past. For a brief moment, old memories and emotions resurface, and she wonders if she could have ever truly moved on had Ikena not come into her life. Her feelings are complicated, and she feels a wave of nostalgia mixed with confusion. However, Amaka quickly reminds herself of her commitment to Ikena. She pushes the thoughts aside, choosing to focus on her new life. She knows that staying in touch with Chijioke would only complicate things. Yet, she can't shake the feeling that their story hasn't fully ended, leaving her conflicted. One evening, Chijioke sends Amaka a message asking her to meet him one last time. Although hesitant, she agrees, wanting to put things to rest once and for all. They meet at a quiet spot in the city where they once shared cherished memories. As they talk, Chijioke surprises her by pulling out a small ring, similar to the one she had once offered him. "I know I don't deserve this chance, but if there's any part of you that still loves me, Please, let's start again, he says, his voice filled with desperation and hope. Amaka is left speechless, torn between her past feelings and her current life with Ikena. The tension builds as she looks between the ring and Chijioke's pleading eyes. Just as she's about to respond, her phone rings. It's Ikena. Amaka stares at her ringing phone, feeling the weight of her choice pressing down on her. She silences the call, still looking at Chijioke, who is holding the ring with a look of pure hope in his eyes. For a moment, she is swept back into the memories of their years together, the laughter, the deep talks, the dreams they once shared. She remembers the pain of his rejection, yet she can't deny that part of her still feels something for him. Just then, her phone buzzes with a message from Ikena. Are you okay? I was worried when you didn't answer. Amaka's heart tightens. She knows that Ikena is a good man who has loved her wholeheartedly. She tries to imagine a future without him, and it's painful. But the pull of unresolved feelings for Chijioke leaves her questioning everything. With a deep breath, Amaka tells Chijioke, I don't think I can give you an answer now. I need time to understand my own heart. Chijioke nods, but his eyes show a glimmer of hope. He believes that if he waits, she might choose him. In the days that follow, Amaka wrestles with her emotions. She spends time with Ikena, who remains unaware of her inner turmoil. Their shared moments bring her joy, but in quiet times, her thoughts drift to Chijioke. She begins to question if her marriage was built on the right foundation or if she rushed into it to escape her heartbreak. Ikena starts to sense her distance and becomes increasingly concerned. He asks if something is bothering her, but Amaka brushes it off, saying she's just tired from work. However, her evasiveness only fuels his suspicion. Ikena can't shake the feeling that something is wrong, but he chooses to trust her, hoping that whatever is troubling her will pass. As Amaka remains torn, Chijioke decides he can't leave things up to chance. He begins to show up unexpectedly at places where he knows Amaka might be. Whether at a cafe, her workplace, or mutual gatherings, he makes sure she sees him, subtly reminding her of his presence and his feelings. Amaka is both flattered and frustrated by his persistence. She feels drawn to the familiar comfort of their shared past, but knows that she risks hurting Ikena if she entertains any thoughts of rekindling her relationship with Chijioke. Caught in the web of her emotions, she feels trapped between the security of her marriage and the pull of old love. The guilt becomes too much for Amaka to bear. One evening, she sits down with Ikena and, with a trembling voice, admits that Chijioke has reached out to her and that she's struggling with old feelings. Ikena listens in silence, his expression unreadable, but his heart aches. He trusted her, and now he's confronted with the reality that he might lose her. After a long pause, Ikena speaks. I understand your history with him, Amaka. But I need to know if you're truly committed to our marriage. His words are filled with pain but also strength. Amaka feels the depth of his love, yet she still feels uncertain. Her answer is hesitant. I need more time to sort out my feelings. I promise you I'll make the right decision for us. Ikena nods, but the crack in their relationship begins to show, leaving Amaka even more confused about where her heart truly lies. Emboldened by Amaka's hesitation, Chijioke becomes even more determined to win her back. He sends her heartfelt messages, reminding her of their shared memories, and suggests they meet to talk things through. Against her better judgment, Amaka agrees, telling herself that she needs closure. They meet at a quiet cafe, and Chijioke pours his heart out, telling her how much he regrets rejecting her. He promises he'll never make the same mistake again if she gives him another chance. Amaka is visibly moved, and for a brief moment, she feels a deep connection to him. But thoughts of Ikena's love and loyalty anchor her, preventing her from making any impulsive decisions. Word of Amaka's torn heart reaches her family. Her older sister, who has always been close to her, invites her over for a conversation. Sensing her sister's confusion, she gently reminds Amaka of the vows she made with Ikena. Marriage isn't easy, Amaka, but you chose Ikena because he's a good man who treats you with respect. Sometimes, we have to close the door on the past to truly move forward. Her sister's words resonate with her, but the unresolved feelings for Chijioke remain. Amaka is more conflicted than ever, aware of her responsibilities but also drawn to a love she never fully let go of. After several sleepless nights, Amaka decides she has to make a choice. She loves Ikena and values the life they've started to build together, yet she can't deny her unresolved feelings for Chijioke. She takes time away from both men, hoping that solitude will bring clarity. During this time, she reflects on all the moments with Ikena and the stability he provides, comparing it to the passionate but uncertain love she felt with Chijioke. She realizes that both men represent different parts of her heart, one that's grounded and secure, and another that's wild and nostalgic. Just as Amaka seems on the verge of a decision, Chijioke calls her unexpectedly. He tells her he's leaving the city for a business opportunity abroad and asks her to meet him one last time. Though hesitant, she agrees, feeling it's important to end things properly. When they meet, Chijioke tells her that he loves her and always will, but he understands that she might be happier with Ikena. He leaves her with one final message: if you ever find yourself unhappy, know that I'll always be waiting for you. His words stir emotions in Amaka, but she realizes this may be the closure she needs. After her final meeting with Chijioke, Amaka returns home and finds Ikena waiting for her. She tells him about her last conversation with Chijioke and expresses her gratitude for Ikena's patience and understanding. She admits that she has struggled to let go of the past, but she's ready to fully commit to their marriage. Relieved and moved, Ikena embraces her, hopeful that this ordeal has finally brought them closer. They agree to start fresh, leaving the past behind. However, a lingering tension remains, as both wonder if old wounds can truly be healed. Just as life begins to settle down, Amaka receives an unexpected letter in the mail. It's from Chijioke, sent from his new location overseas. In the letter, he writes about how he still dreams of her and asks her to consider reaching out if she ever questions her marriage. Amaka feels a shiver as she reads the letter, realizing that Chijioke's influence is far from over. She thought she had closed the chapter, but the letter leaves her questioning her feelings once again. She hides the letter in a drawer, but can't shake the feeling that her heart may still be torn. Amaka tries to move forward, but the letter from Chijioke stays on her mind. She becomes more reserved around Ikena, carefully hiding the letter, afraid he might find it. Her subtle changes don't go unnoticed. Ikena senses her distance and begins to wonder if she's truly over Chijioke. He remembers the conversation they had about her feelings, and a part of him starts to worry that she hasn't completely let go. Ikena's trust in her wavers, though he tries to ignore his doubts. But the tension grows between them, creating small rifts in their relationship. Amaka wants to bring up the letter but fears it would only hurt Ikena more. As they go through their days, the unspoken thoughts between them build an invisible wall neither knows how to tear down. Amaka feels like she's caught between two lives, the one she has with Ikena, stable and secure, and the lingering what-if of her past with Chijioke. She finds herself rereading the letter late at night, wondering if it's a sign or a final distraction she needs to put behind her. Her heart is divided, and no amount of reasoning seems to give her peace. She considers replying to Chijioke, just to tell him to move on, but every time she tries to write the message, she can't find the words. She realizes she's not just torn between two men, she's torn between two versions of herself, the person she was with Chijioke and the person she's become with Ikena. One evening, while getting ready for bed, Amaka accidentally leaves the letter out on her nightstand. Ikena sees it, and although he's reluctant, curiosity takes over. He reads the first few lines and realizes it's from Chijioke, expressing feelings he thought had been put to rest. Feeling hurt and betrayed, Ikena confronts Amaka. "So you're still holding on to this?" he asks, his voice heavy with pain. Amaka, caught off guard, stammers, unsure how to explain herself. She tries to convince him that the letter means nothing, but Ikena's trust in her has been damaged. He walks away, leaving her to reflect on how much her indecision has cost her. The confrontation leaves both Amaka and Ikena feeling hurt and distant. For the first time, Amaka fears she may lose Ikena. She tries to apologize and promises to let go of the past, but Ikena isn't convinced. He suggests they take some time apart, unsure if they can continue their marriage under the weight of Chijioke's lingering presence. Amaka is devastated but reluctantly agrees, realizing she needs this time to truly let go of Chijioke. She spends her days alone, reflecting on her choices, and slowly comes to understand that her obsession with the past has nearly destroyed her present. After weeks of separation, Amaka reaches a moment of clarity. She realizes that she's been holding on to Chijioke as a symbol of something unfinished in her life, rather than as the person he truly is. She decides to meet him one last time to finally close this chapter of her life for good. When they meet, she tells Chijioke that she's made her choice. "I loved you once, and I won't deny that," she says, "but I'm a different person now. I have a life with Ikena, and I want to commit to that fully." Chijioke is crushed but understands. He apologizes for causing her pain, and they part ways, both finally ready to move on. Amaka returns home, hoping to reconcile with Ikena. She pours out her heart to him, explaining everything she's felt and apologizing for not letting go of her past sooner. Ikena listens, seeing the sincerity in her eyes, but he's still hesitant, wondering if her commitment is strong enough to withstand future doubts. After much discussion, they agree to rebuild their relationship slowly. Ikena sets boundaries, asking her to prove her commitment, and Amaka agrees. She realizes that if she truly wants a future with Ikena, she needs to show him that he is her priority. With renewed determination, Amaka throws herself into rebuilding her marriage with Ikena. They start going to counseling sessions, opening up about their insecurities and fears. Amaka learns to appreciate the stability and love Ikena offers, recognizing that while passion is important, so is loyalty and shared growth. Little by little, Ikena begins to trust her again, but the memory of Chijioke lingers like a shadow over their relationship. They both know it will take time, but they're committed to working through it together. Just when Amaka and Ikena start to find stability again, Amaka runs into Chijioke at a friend's gathering. It's an awkward moment, with both of them aware of the emotional turbulence that marked their recent interactions. Chijioke keeps his distance, but Amaka can't shake the feeling that his presence could once again disrupt her hard-won peace. Ikena, aware of Chijioke's presence, keeps a close eye on Amaka, silently watching for any signs of wavering. This unexpected encounter tests their relationship anew, as Ikena struggles with his own doubts about whether Amaka has truly moved on. Chijioke's presence at the gathering stirs old emotions in Amaka, but she reminds herself of the commitment she made to Ikena. She keeps her distance from Chijioke, focusing on Ikena, who notices her effort and is reassured. Later that night, Ikena confesses how difficult it's been for him to trust again, but he expresses hope that they can truly move forward. Amaka promises to stay focused on their marriage, realizing that true love often means choosing someone again and again, despite challenges. Just when it seems like things are finally settling down, a new letter arrives at Amaka's doorstep. It's from Chijioke, who writes that although he respects her choice, he still can't let go. He admits that he's moving back to the city for good and that he'll be nearby if she ever changes her mind. Amaka stands there with the letter in her hands, feeling a storm of emotions. She knows she should ignore it, yet part of her feels a lingering sense of unfinished business. Ikena walks into the room, noticing the letter in her hands and the expression on her face. "What is it, Amaka?" he asks, looking at her intently.